when I was about to graduate from the seminary, a first-year student came to me with a theological question. I do not know why he came to me, instead of one of the professors or, one of the other students. I certainly don't believe that he came to me because he thinks that I know better. I highly suspect that he came to me with that question because he was testing whether, I'm qualified to graduate or not. Now, the question that he asked me was, do Christians still have to keep the 10 Commandments? Simple. No simple. Now, when she asked me that question, I was blindsided. I did not expect her to ask me that question. So I just said yes, and then I went on to give her some reasons, which I think, were vague, confusing, and probably not so accurate. But thank the Lord, today she's still in the faith, so she did not stumble. And she's still faithfully serving the Lord. But for several days after that, I was, very disturbed by the reasons that I gave her. Because those reasons that I gave her, as I said, were vague, confusing, and probably not so accurate. Now, it has been so many years since then. And from that time on, many people came to me with that same question. But thank the Lord, because of that incident, I think I am more prepared, to give them a proper answer. Now, this morning, as we continue our study on the book of Exodus, we are going to look at the 10 Commandments. And particularly, we are going to try to find the answer to why Christians still have to keep the 10 Commandments. I believe that a lot of you, even now, you're thinking, do I still have to keep the 10 Commandments? The 10 Commandments, were given to the Jews, of the Old Testament. We are living in the New Testament, we are Christians saved by grace. Do I still need to keep the 10 Commandments? By the way, the title of my sermon, is not an original one that I coined or that I created. I borrowed this from Zig Ziglar. Many of you probably know him. American business consultant, motivational speaker, writer, Christian. And in one of his sayings, in one of his talks, he said, if God would have wanted us to live in a permissive society, He would have given us 10 suggestions and not 10 commandments. Now, from that statement and from the title alone, I think the answer to the questions, do Christians still have to keep the 10 commandments, is quite obvious. However, what is probably not obvious to many of us is why. Why do we have to keep the 10 commandments? You see, as I mentioned, the 10 commandments were given to the Jews of the Old Testament. It was part of the law of Moses that God has given the Israelites when they were traveling, from Egypt to the Promised Land. And because of that, many of us Christians today think, when Jesus Christ came, all of those have been abolished. And now we are saved by grace, we don't have to keep the 10 Commandments. So this morning, we are going to look at the Bible and we are going to search for reasons why I believe that we Christians still have to keep the 10 Commandments. Now, if you look at our passage and the whole Bible, you'll find many reasons. But this morning, I just want to highlight 4 of them. Reason number 1, I believe that we have to keep the 10 Commandments because the 10 Commandments are meant to reveal who God is and how we are to relate to Him. A lot of times when we think about the 10 Commandments, immediately we think of a set of rules, a set of do's and don'ts that God has given to the Israelites with the intention of keeping them in tow. We always, when we come across this 10 Commandments, our view of it is, this is a set of rules that God has given them so that, to make sure that they will behave, while they were journeying to the promised land. Now, I don't blame you. Many of us have this kind of thinking. Because if you look at the passage, if you look, at the Ten Commandments, a casual reading seems to suggest that this is so. Not only that, let me be honest, a lot of times we have this kind of view because of our pessimistic view of God. You see, God is a generous, gracious God. But sad to say, probably because of our own experience with adults, with our parents, with our teachers, many of us tend to think of God as a killjoy, as a tyrant, a terrible God who does not want us to enjoy life. We tend to think of Him, as a schoolmaster. On one hand, He has a set of rules. On the other hand, He has a stick. Just thinking and just looking and waiting, to spank us if we do not follow His instructions. And because of that, even our view of the Ten Commandments tend to be negative. A teacher once gave his grade 1 students a piece of paper, each of them. And this piece of paper has 2 columns. And the teacher told the students, when you get home, I want you to find a recent photo, of yourself and paste it on the left column. And then on the right column, you post another photo or you draw something that will represent how you would look like 70 years from now. The following day, all the students came, they had different kinds of photos on the right. Some have the photos of their grandparents, of their parents. Some have, photos of their parents as well. Aunts, aunties, some even had photos of celebrities, athletes, actors, actresses. But there was this young boy. He did not have any picture on the right. Instead, he drew something. He drew a square with a cross on top of it. And then he wrote the words R.I.P. Smart boy. A smart but cynical boy. There are so many good things, that he could see, but he tends to look at, the morbid side of it. A lot of times, many of us, we are just like that. Our God is a good God. And yet, we tend to look at the negative side and we tend to think of Him, as a tyrant. That is why, as I said, even our view of the Ten Commandments, tend to lean on that side. But the Ten Commandments were not given mainly, for discipline, for punishment. However, they were given mainly for 2 reasons. I want you to understand this. Number 1, it's not there. The Ten Commandments were given to reveal who God is, so that we can know Him and find pleasure in Him. That is the main reason why the Ten Commandments are given. They are given to reveal who God is, so that we can know Him and find our pleasure in Him. On the other hand, the Ten Commandments, are given to teach us how we can live harmoniously with others, so that in the end, we will also find pleasure in life. So you see, our God is a very positive, loving God. Now, if you look at the first 3 commandments, you will realize, that they are meant to fulfill the first purpose, and that is to reveal who God is, so that we can know Him and know how to relate to Him and find our pleasure in Him. Look at the first commandment, and you will see that it reveals that our God is the omnipotent and almighty God. He is the sovereign God, much less in power. And because of that, but yet He is the abundant God. That is why He saved the Israelites out of Egypt. Because of that, we are to worship Him and Him alone. We are to give our allegiance to Him and Him alone. We are to give our devotion and our service to Him and Him alone. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. out of the land of slavery, you shall have no other gods before me. Here, God is revealing who He is and how we can relate to Him. Now, if you look at commandment number 2, it reveals that God is an immortal, immutable, unchanging God. He is the true and the living God who will tenaciously, protect His honor, His integrity, and He will, guard His name. And because of that, we are commanded not to worship idols, not to worship gods, not even to have images of any gods. And the implication is we are not to give or attribute divine power, or greatness to any of this. That is why the Bible says, "Thou shalt not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on earth beneath, or on the waters below. You shall not bow down to them and worship them, for I, the Lord your God, is a jealous God." And then, commandment number 3 reveals that God is a distinctly sacred and majestic God. That He alone is holy, and that His splendor is beyond measure. Because of that, we cannot use His name in vain. We cannot associate Him with anything that is profane, anything that is earthly, that is worldly. God said, "You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses His name." So from here we can see one of the reasons why we Christians still have to keep the 10 Commandments. We have to keep the 10 Commandments, not because we want to gain the favor of God, we want to gain some merits so that we can go to heaven. We have to keep the 10 Commandments because the 10 Commandments actually is not about us, it is about God. So when we understand who God is, when we see, understand His attributes, His characters, when we know Him and we follow Him, we will find pleasure in Him. An American, he once went to Japan around Christmas time. And he went to the mall and he discovered that the mall, was just as festive as those in America. So he was a little bit confused. Japan is not a Christian country. But there were Christmas decorations everywhere, Christmas carols everywhere. People were busy shopping for gifts. So out of curiosity, he asked a teenager, and he said, "Do you know what Christmas is? And why people celebrate it?" The young man said, "I'm not so sure. But I have heard that it is the day that the Americans remember the death of their national hero." Brothers and sisters, I hope that your understanding of the 10 Commandments, is not as vague nor as inaccurate as that of the younger. The 10 Commandments is not a set of rules that spell the death of our freedom, as many people think. But the 10 Commandments is a set of declarations that reveal to us who God is. When we know Him, when we know how to relate to Him, we will find life in Him. When we know God Himself, the giver of life, and we follow Him faithfully, we will find pleasure in Him. So starting today, let us stop breaking the 10 Commandments. Forgive me to say this, but I know there are still many Christians breaking the 10 Commandments. Also, many break the first commandment by worshiping power and prestige, by giving their allegiance to their business, to their work, by trusting, by putting their trust not in God, but in their wealth, in their money. Many Christians break the second commandment. How? By abetting the worship of idols, even if it is in their control not to have it. Many keep images in their homes and even in their workplace. Many are afraid of the so-called gods, attributing power to these so-called gods. I know also of many Christians who break the third commandment by using the name of Jesus as cuss word. I have to be very frank, even in this church, sometimes I hear Christians using the name of Jesus as a cuss word. Many use the name of God, as a way of expressing, their disappointment. Many are guilty of this. Many use the word Lord, Lord in their prayer, wantonly. So Lord here, Lord there, Lord everywhere. So their prayer is just nothing but Lord, Lord. May the Lord, have mercy on us. We have to keep the Ten Commandments. Not because, we are afraid that, something might happen to us if we don't. But we have to keep the Ten Commandments out of our love, out of our reverence for God. When we know Him, we will find our pleasure in Him. Now, there's a second reason that I would like to propose. We have to keep the Ten Commandments because they are meant to remind us that we live under the authority of God in order to fulfill His purposes for us. So why do we have to keep the Ten Commandments? Because by doing so, we will remember that we are under His authority, that everything that we do, has to fulfill His purposes. Now, when we were looking at the first three commandments, we will notice that it was talking about God and His character. Now, if you look at the fourth commandment, it still talks about God, but the focus now shifts from who God is to something that He did. Something important, something significant that He did in the past that we are to observe, that we are to emulate and follow. What is that? Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but He rested in the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. What are we to focus on? What are we to reflect on that God had did in the past? It is, He worked for 6 days, and then He rested on the seventh day. God took a Sabbath. Because of that, we are also commanded to take a Sabbath and to make it holy unto the Lord. Now, let me ask you a question. I understand why I need to take a rest. But why does God need to take a rest? Why did God take a Sabbath, after creating 6 days? He is the immortal God. He does not need to take a rest. He is the infinite God. He does not need any breathing space, just like us. These days, because of my health issues, every now and then I have to stand up and stretch. That's part of getting old. God does not need that. He is the omnipotent God. He does not need to detoxify Himself. Like many of us, we are so anxious, we are so stressed out. We need to take vacations, we need to detoxify ourselves. God does not need all those things. So why did He take a break? Now, according to Jewish rabbis and scholars, God took a Sabbath because, first of all, He wants to teach us that work is not an end in and of itself. In other words, work has a purpose. You don't just work because you have to work. Work has a purpose. He wants to teach us that we live and work under His authority and economy. So He rested to give us, a model. And then He wants to teach us that everything that we do, including our work, has a higher purpose, higher goal, higher calling. In other words, God took a rest in order to be an illustration to us, to help us understand that work in itself is not an end. That we work in order to fulfill the purposes of God. We work in order to fulfill the goals that God has set for us and for everyone and for all of creation. We are under His authority, we are under His economy, even while we work. So if He rests, then we have to rest. So because of that, all of us, we need the Sabbath. Because the Sabbath will enable us to do the following. The Sabbath will give us the right perspective of why we exist on earth. If you work and work and work, you will lose focus. You will lose the big picture. We are under God's authority. We have a higher goal by resting. We distance ourselves from work, and then we gain the right perspective. In order to rest our body, our mind, and our spirit, so we can continue on to fulfill the purposes of God, the calling of God in our life. So we have to rest so that we will have more energy, to go on, because we are finite beings. And then to explore. We stop to explore who God is, to examine His authority over us, to establish His worth, and then to emulate Him in His distinctiveness, in His character, in His attributes. That is why Christians, we cannot say, I'm going to keep my Sabbath, I will just sleep the whole day. You're only keeping half the Sabbath. You have to rest, yes, but you also have to think about, who God is, His word, His authority, His distinctiveness, so that we can follow Him. That is why we need to come to church. We need to, hear sermons, think about them, and then emulate them. In other words, by keeping the fourth commandment, we express our submission to God's authority. You say so I keep the Sabbath. Because you are Lord, then I'm going to align and realign my life always, in accordance with the will, the purposes you have for me. Now, in view of this, in view of God's authority over us, we have to keep the fourth commandment. We also have to keep the fifth commandment. In verse 12, after commanding us to keep the Sabbath, the Lord says, honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Why do we need to honor our parents? Aside from the fact that there's a promise here that there will be long life, which in essence is long, meaningful life. Aside from the fact that we are going to have long life if we honor our parents, by honoring our parents, we express our submission to God's authority, to God's sovereignty. We have to understand that our parents, alongside with the leaders in the government and in the church, are God's appointed authority over us. They are there, sent by God to take care of us, to protect us, to guide us, and to instruct us. Their authority is an extension of God's authority. Their power is an extension of the power of God. God has lofty reasons for putting our parents above us. God has lofty reasons for setting up the family structure. The family itself is God's design. God has lofty reasons for setting up hierarchy in the family. And so if we honor God, if we honor that hierarchy, that order, then we are in essence submitting to the authority of the Lord. Now you understand why Satan has always been trying to destroy the family. He does so, by inciting children to rebellion, by breaking up families, by wrecking the relationships between husbands and wives, by introducing fake forms of marriages same-sex marriage, live-in unions, multiple partner marriages. These are, ploy of Satan in order to destroy the family. Satan wants to destroy the family not only because the family represents, the church, the relationship between Christ and the church, but the family represents and expresses the authority of God. It fulfills the purposes of God. So that's why, brothers and sisters, we have to keep the commandments, particularly the fourth and the fifth commandments, because, by doing so, we are telling God, you are God. We are submitting to your purposes and we are obeying. We are giving our lives to you so that our lives will be in alignment with your purposes. Dallas Willard, is a Christian philosopher. He had taught at the UCLA and also, at the University of Wisconsin. He had even been the head of the philosophy department of UCLA. Now one day towards the end of his class, there was a young student who stood up and challenged him very rudely with a question. With his sharp mind, Dallas could have easily, dismantled this young person. But he did not. Instead, very gently, he told the young boy, "That's a great question, but now is a good time to end the class." Now when the class was dismissed, several students came to him. They were very angry, very dissatisfied. They felt that the professor, should have humbled that proud young man and destroyed him with a profound answer. So when the students asked, "Why did you not do that?" Dallas said, "I was practicing the discipline of not having to have the last word." Let me repeat that, very beautiful. I was practicing the discipline of not having to have the last word. Many of us, we want to have the last word. Why are we not keeping the Sabbath? Because we want to have the last word. We want to have the last say in our business. If I want to work, who are you to tell me not to work? We want to have the last say in the way we run our life. We want to have the last say in the way we use our time. We want to have the last say. Why are we dishonoring our parents, some of us, by disrespecting them, by wanting to be free from their control and being rebellious? Because we want to have the last say. We want to have the last say in decision making. We want to have the last say in saying what is right, what is wrong. We want to have the last say, in running our own life. If we obey the 10 Commandments, particularly the fourth and the fifth commandment, what are we doing? We are telling God, you have the last say. You are God and we are submitting to you. We are going to realign our life, our time, our work to your purposes because you have the last say. We have to keep the 10 Commandments also because they express God's character and love in our life. Now earlier I had already mentioned to you that the 10 Commandments were given for two main reasons. One, to reveal who God is so that we can know Him and find our pleasure in Him. Two, to teach us how to live harmoniously with others so that we will find pleasure in life. Now if you look at the remaining commandments, Commandments 6 to 10, you will clearly see that they are teaching us how to live life, how to live harmoniously with others. Any person who can read the Bible can see that. We don't have to go to the seminary to understand that. We don't have to be a rocket scientist in order to figure that out. But right now, I want to highlight something. I want to point out something that may not be very obvious to some of us. the rationale behind these commandments. Why does God require us to treat others fairly and well? Why does God, tell us, not to bear false testimony? Why does God tell us not to steal? Why does God tell us all these things? Why does God want us to live harmoniously with other people? The answer is this. Okay, these are the 10 commandments. These are the last 5 commandments. If we treat others kindly, we express the compassion of God. If we are considerate of others, we express the mercy of God. If we live in peace and harmony with others, we exhibit the goodness, the benevolence of God. In other words, if we keep, the remaining commandments by being good to others, by living harmoniously with others, we express the characters of God. We express the love of God. If we keep them, we are not just being able to live agreeably with others, but we are revealing to them the God that we worship, the God that we follow. We are telling them, showing them who God really is. A little girl once attended Sunday school. On their way home, she asked her mom, "Mommy, my Sunday school teacher says that God is bigger than all of us. He is so big that He can hold the whole world in His hand. Is that true?" The mommy said, "Oh yes, honey, that's true." "Mommy, my Sunday school teacher also says that when we accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, God comes to live in us. Is that true?" "Yes, honey, that's true." The girl was confused and she said, "How can that be so? If God is so big and if He lives in me, then He is going to burst through." How can that be? The mother was a wise and spiritual woman. So she immediately had a ready answer. And she told us the girl, "Yes, dear, God is bursting through us every day if we are kind to others, if we are merciful to others." Beautiful answer. Yes, brothers and sisters, if we obey the 6th to the 10th commandment, God will burst out of us. His character will be revealed. His love will be expressed, manifested. People will come to know who He is. So if we keep the commandments, we will not only live in harmony with people, the people will come to know God, and people, will follow Him to us. That is why in Galatians, Paul said, the whole law is summed up in one single commandment. That is to love your neighbor as yourself. That is why Jesus Christ Himself said that the greatest commandment of all is to love the Lord our God with everything that we have and to love others as ourselves. That is also why Jesus said, people will know that you are my disciple if you love one another. So by keeping the 6th to the 10th commandment, we are in reality showing others who God is. One more thing. There's one more reason why we need to keep the 10 commandments. We have to keep the 10 commandments because by doing so, we will discover at least 2 things, 2 very important things about ourselves. One, by keeping the commandments, we will discover that we are sinful. We will discover that sin has utterly destroyed us to our core. That is why even as we try to keep the commandments, we will discover that we cannot. We will discover also that apart from God and His grace, we will never be able to live a holy, righteous life. We will never be able even to consistently do what is right, to consistently do what we want to do, what we think we have to do. I don't think I need to get very far. How many times have we said, I am going to diet, and yet we keep on eating? Bato-bato sa langit. How many times, have we said, I will never be rude, to my helper, to my driver again, but we continue to do it. How many times have we said, I am not going to cheat in class again, students, but yet we return to that habit every time there's a test, there's an exam. How many times have we said, I am going to be honest, in business, in life, but yet we return to the habit of being dishonest. If we don't try to keep the 10 Commandments, we will not discover that. Now, if you keep on sinning, you will not discover that, you're sinning. You will not discover that you're unable to get over sin. However, if you keep the commandments, you will discover sin actually has already eaten me all up. And I, on my own, cannot do it. I, on my own, cannot get over it. If you look at the 10 Commandments, you'll discover that in that 10 Commandment, the Lord dug out some dirt in us. The Lord actually dug out something that is very dirty and wicked from the core of our hearts. Now, that dirt is not easily seen. It cannot be seen easily by the naked eye. It cannot be readily observed. Even our parents, our spouse, our best, our loved ones, cannot easily recognize that. That evil thing is covetousness. Covetousness actually is the root of all our quarrels, disagreements, and conflicts with others. Covetousness is the root of all sorts of sins and evil desires. That is why in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10, the Bible says, do not love money, because the love of money is the root of all evils. That is why in James chapter 4, verse 1, we are told that the root cause of our quarrels, of our conflicts, is lust or desire. It is because of covetousness that we murder others. Because we cannot have what we want, we kill the person. It is because of covetousness that we commit adultery. We want someone that is not rightfully ours. It is because of covetousness that we steal. It is because of covetousness that we make false testimonies so that we can turn things around in our favor. It is because of covetousness that we want our neighbor's wife, our neighbor's things, our neighbor's properties. So brothers and sisters, we have to keep the 10 Commandments. By doing so, we will come to see, what is deep inside us. We will come to see that sin has flattened us to the core. Because of that, we have no choice but to turn to God. Now, last month in my message, I did mention about my struggle with sciatic pains. Now, this morning, allow me just to share a little bit more. I don't want to bore you with all these things, but I just want to illustrate a point. I hope that this will be the last time I will be talking about my sciatica. You see, when I first sensed that I was having back pains, immediately I did home exercises because about 12, 15 years ago, I had one bout with it. In some exercises, I was well. So immediately I did exercises. 2, 3, 4 weeks, it did not prosper. In fact, it deteriorated. So I said, this is not the way to do it. I went to the doctors. I went to PTs. So they prescribed medicines, treatments, new exercises. So I came home, did everything that they prescribed to the dot. It improved a little. But still, I was having these pains. So I went to see more doctors and other PTs. So they prescribed new things, and I did it to the dot. Well, I found better, management. I can now better manage my pain. But still, sciatica just loved me so much. She would not go. So even now, the pain still persists. Now what am I doing now? I still do my exercises, but now I have learned I cannot do it. The doctors cannot help me, only God can. So now I am praying harder. Now I am trusting God more. Now I am, putting my complete trust in Him. Although I still go to doctors, I still do these things. But I know these things will not help me, it is only God. These things will not heal me, it is only God. So because of that, I am now putting, myself at the mercy of God. That is the same with the 10 Commandments. If you don't keep the 10 Commandments, you will not realize, how rotten you are and how helpless you are. However, if you keep the 10 Commandments, you will discover, I cannot do it, but God can. I cannot save myself, but Jesus can. You have to remember when God gave the 10 Commandments, He already knew that no one can keep the commandments consistently and faithfully. Not the Jews, not the priests, not even Moses. But yet God gave the 10 Commandments. Why? Because God wants us, to do it so that we can see. I am really, sin had really eaten me up. So now, my only hope is in God. So this is precisely the reason why Jesus came. Jesus came to show us, apart from God, we can do nothing. You cannot save yourself by doing good works, by going to church, by doing good works, giving to charity. You cannot save yourselves by doing all these things. In fact, you cannot even do it consistently. So you need Him. Jesus Christ offers us the free gift of salvation. That is why the Bible said we are saved by grace through faith. Not by good works, not of ourselves, lest anyone should boast. So this morning again, I want to remind you, we have to keep the 10 Commandments. Not because, by doing so, we're going to heaven, so that God will be happy with me, so that God will, not spank me. Not because of those reasons, but because of the reasons that we have mentioned today. So right now, let us spend a few moments to reflect and to respond to God. If any of you have not yet put your faith in Jesus Christ, this is also now a very good chance for you to say, Lord, I know I cannot save myself. I am a sinner, always sinner. I need you. I am putting my faith in you because you alone can save me. Not the church, not the pastor, not the priest, not the good works, but you alone. Father God, thank you for revealing yourself to us, for revealing your mind to us, your will to us, your character to us. Thank you for reminding us that we live under your authority, that we live, for your purposes, for your design, for your calling. Father, we thank you for reminding us that we need to express your love, your characters to people, to love others as we love ourselves, as you have loved them. And And Father, more important, we thank you for revealing to us that in Jesus Christ there is salvation. Salvation for sin, salvation from temptation, salvation from ourselves and our wickedness. Because in you there's grace, there's mercy, there's love. Father, again, we commit ourselves to you, we bow down in worship of you. Help us in Jesus' name.